Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have another food bank haul for you. This is our local food bank. We are allowed to go once a week, and this is one where you can pick and choose what you'd like. They also have grab and go boxes, so that way if you're just in a hurry or if you just want them to bring them out to your car for you so you don't have to get out, that is an option as well. I like to pick and choose and go shopping because that way I can pick what my family is going to use or what I can preserve, and I'll leave on the shelf things that are like gluten-free or things that my family doesn't really like and other families can enjoy them. One thing I do want to mention is that if you're one of those people who think that the food bank isn't for you, but you're still struggling on feeding your kids or you're worried about the prices in the grocery store, I really hope you would consider going to your local food bank. I want you to know that there is lots of food there. Now, not every food bank is quite as stocked as mine is, but there's still a lot of food banks out there that throw food away at the end of the day because not enough people show up. Please consider looking into your local food bank or food pantry. I do have resources listed below if you need a place to start. I like to usually go shopping on the same day that I volunteer there. I don't usually volunteer today, but they sent an email out saying that they needed some volunteers. I was like, you know what? We're not doing anything, let's jump in there and help. So now that you kind of have a little idea what my food bank's about, let's go ahead and get into the haul. Before we do though, please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. I'm trying to reach that 1 million subscriber mark and I need your help. Every like, comment, share, it really helps support my channel and I appreciate it so much. All right guys, let's get into the haul and let's see what goodies I got. All right, I'm gonna do the breads first. So the first one is some pumpkin spice English muffins. Oh, pumpkin season is here, and it's starting with the muffin. Oh, it smells so good. So we have some of that, and then I was allowed to get 3 options of bread. This sourdough, I just made this the other day and turned it into French toast, which is now in my freezer. So I grabbed another one because I really enjoy this bread. And then speaking of sourdough, they also had this sourdough, which this bread is so much heavier than the other one. And this is a big wood bread. It's made in Idaho, which is just next door. We are here in Montana. So this was really nice, and I look forward to trying some sandwiches with this bread. This would make a good grilled cheese sandwich. And then they had some of these spicy chips, which my kids and I got to try a pack of these chips when we got to try the Try Treats International Treats, a subscription box that you can buy. They sent us one to try, and it was Mexico, and this is one of the chips that they had, and my son Conrad actually really liked them. The 6-year-old enjoyed a spicy chip. So I was like, you know what, let's get a bag, let's see if we can handle them. And then they also had a lot of this cereal. This is very common, I think, that most food banks get. It's kind of like a Cheerios, but you know, off-brand. It's a multi-grain, and I was thinking of actually converting this into cereal bars. If you have some cereal that is just kind of blah, or if it's stale, you can add peanut butter and honey and mix it up and then press it and then cut it, and you've got homemade cereal bars that give it a little more flavor and take away some of the staleness. So a little trick, and I'm gonna try that with these ones. And then for the dairy, we were allowed 2 things of milk, and they did have gallons, and gallons count as 1 thing of milk. So I grabbed 1 gallon and then 1/2 gallon. And then for yogurt, they had a Wallaby organic Aussie Greek style yogurt. So this looks good. It's September 12th. $9.99 is how much this yogurt is. So this is good yogurt that I normally would not be able to afford in the grocery store at all, but here I am able to feed it to my family because I chose to utilize a food bank, and I'm so thankful for it. And then, oh my gosh, you guys, they gave me a 30-pound block of cream cheese. Holy moly, look at this baby. Look at that. Just look at it. Like, holy guacamole, guys. 30 pounds of cream cheese. Cream cheese is one of the things that I buy at Costco all the time. So, do you know how much this is gonna save me? Look at that, let's give it a try. Like, holy moly, this is gonna save my family so much money. Cream cheese. That's pretty good. I guess husband's gonna be getting some cheesecake. It is his favorite. So, you may be wondering how I'm going to store that. And that's a great question. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. There are some people out there who can cream cheese. and have it shelf stable on their shelf by canning it and water bathing it. So that is something I'm probably going to end up doing. Now, it is considered one of the rebel recipes because dairy is not recommended to be canned, but I know a lot of people that do it and it has worked for them. So why not give it a try with some of the cream cheese that I have now? I would say that's worth a try. But holy moly, so if you have cream cheese recipes, please leave them below. I am super stoked though. I wonder where this came from. Oh my gosh, I think this used to have this, like bakeries can get this, but now Mama Bear's got one. Oh my gosh, I'm so ecstatic. So that was definitely the big score of this food bank haul, was this cream cheese. And then for the drinks, they just had pure sparkling water and 1 lime. So you're allowed 1 per family member, but I just got 4. I'm gonna put that in my new beverage cooler I just reviewed. Guys, that thing's amazing to have a totally separate fridge for just drinks. Who would have known? And then for the produce, I got some, you're allowed 1 full bag. So this is the 1 bag that I chose. Has some beautiful orange tomatoes. These are definitely homegrown. Oh, they smell so good. And they had some huge homegrown shallots. I've never seen shallots this big. And I have a freeze dryer, and some recipes call for shallots. So I think I'm going to chop this up and freeze dry them. So I'll always have some shallots on hand. Oh, they smell so good. Guys, stuff coming from the garden smells so different than stuff coming from the store. You know? Like, look at this green striped tomato. Oh, it smells so good. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys are able to start growing some food, grow some food. It'll change your life to be able to taste what real food actually tastes like. You know, what a real homegrown tomato actually tastes like. And then we were allowed an extra bag is what I'm getting into right here. And so I got an extra bag of tomatoes. This one's, they're super juicy. So I'm just gonna put these in my Instant Pot and make pasta sauce again. I did that a couple of weeks ago on one of my food bank hauls, and that turned out fantastic. So I'm gonna do that again with these tomatoes. Oh, except for this one, I don't know. I might slice this one up and have it on a, oh, I need to cook some bacon with that sourdough bread and have a BLT. I haven't had one yet. What's wrong with me? All right, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. Okay, anyway, sorry. Being all weird on you. And then we got giant zucchinis. I got 2 zucchinis, I got 2 zucchinis, I got 2 zucchinis. I don't know what's wrong with me, I'm tired. It helps with the silliness. So when I grab these, all the volunteers at the food bank are like, all right, we've been waiting to see someone grab that giant zucchini. What are you gonna do with it? I'm like, well, I'm thinking zucchini bread. This is really good to shred and mix in with ground beef as well. And that's what you do really good with the big ones, is you shred them because they're kind of tough to eat raw. So I was gifted 2 gorgeous zucchinis that somebody definitely worked hard to grow. Well, zucchini too, just like, it was probably this size. And they're like, oh, I'll pick that tomorrow. And then it ends up this size. And then they had tons of grapes, so every family was allowed 1 thing of green grapes as well. And then they had lots of apples, so every family was allowed. These are Macintosh. I have a tree out here that grows these as well. They're so good. So everybody was allowed more apples, so they had a bunch of them, so I grabbed a thing of apples as well. And then in the extra, you could have got a piece of cake, or you could have got pineapple, and I love pineapple. So I got some pineapple. I think that'll be really good. I haven't tried freeze-dried pineapple yet, because I eat it all because it's so good. But got some pineapple. If anything, you can just throw this in the freezer, like on a tray, and let it freeze separately. And then you have some pineapple for smoothies. And then they had lots of cabbage this week. Last week they had the red cabbage. This week it was the green cabbage. So I got 1 head of this as well. And I really want to make some coleslaw to can up. I eat it a lot, and I haven't made any yet this year. So that's on my list for that. And then for the meats, I got 1 thing of chicken drumsticks. The meats were pretty picked over, but drumsticks are really good, and there's good meat on them, and the bones make really good broth. So I got that, and I'll probably do a video on chicken drumsticks and how I cook them. I don't really cook them to eat. None of the family really enjoys eating off a drumstick besides myself. So I usually cook them and then just use the meat. So I will show you how I do that in another video. And then the really fun kicker, you already saw this one. a whole pork foot. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? But I have looked at some recipes, and apparently it's really good in the crock pot. This one is, let's see if I see how many pounds it is. I saw stuff for like 2 pounds. Looks like 1.5 pounds, so almost 2 pounds. It's pretty good. And they say this makes really good gelatin. So I think what I'm going to do is put this, oh, it's from Winco. I like Winco. I'm going to cook this overnight in the crock pot, and then we'll deal with the meat in the morning. So I thought it was fun. I've actually never cooked with a pork foot before. I told husband about it, and he was like, absolutely not. But oh well, I'm doing it anyway, husband. So that is all I got in my haul this week. But I got a couple extra over here. I accidentally took the card home too. So this is the green card you get for when you are a family of 6 or more. These are the limits that you get in the pantry items. Now they also have limits posted on like the freezer door, the dairy door, and based on how much they have, they change those limits daily, and then you read your limits, and that's how you know how much meat and or dairy that you get. For the volunteers, they have a shelf there that is for consume at your own risk, because it's food that they can't put out to give to customers, but they don't want to see go to waste, so they let the volunteers decide if they would like those items. One of the things that was on there was this. It has no label. It says right here though, tart as real tart. So my guess is that it's apple cider vinegar. I have not smelled it though. Yep, that's definitely apple cider vinegar. I could tell by the container even without a label, could you guys? So because this set didn't have a label, which I've gotten some stuff without labels before, so it's interesting to see. Oh, plus it was open. It didn't have a label and it was open was the reason it did not get approved to go out to the customers. But having things open doesn't really bother me. I don't know why. I mean, I can see why people wouldn't want to have something that someone donated that was open. I get that. But I don't know, it doesn't really bother me, so I grabbed that. And then they had a giant thing of Sweet Baby Ray's. It also looks open, but it wasn't used. Like I could feel the air release as I opened that. So I think it was just because the seal was broken. So I grabbed that because everything tastes good with Sweet Baby Ray's. Ooh, I bet I'll cook the pork. We'll cook the pork in it. There we go, see? Bam, ideas. And I had this true lime, it's crystallized lime for cooking, baking, and seasoning. So I thought that was kind of cool. It is sealed. I don't think it has an expiration date. So sometimes if the volunteers cannot find an expiration date, then they just put it on the shelf for the volunteers because they have to have an expiration date. And then this is my favorite tomato company, and they had some black bean and corn salsa. That sounds so good. So I grabbed that. Plus you can reuse that jar. And then some Pompey tomatoes, which is just like crushed tomatoes. So this is a really good brand and a really good jar. So I grabbed it. A very dented can of Rotel hot. And then they had this, which is interesting. Sweet Dreams Organic Brown Rice Syrup. So it says, our brown rice syrup is a healthful and allergen-free alternate to other sweeteners. Substitute rice syrup in place of sugar, honey, corn syrup, maple syrup, or molasses. Bake with it, pour it over ice cream or pancakes, or stir it into your coffee or tea. Try it in energy bars, muffins, cookies, fruit salads, smoothies. It's great in just about everything. To substitute sugar, use 1 1/4 cup of rice syrup for 1 cup of sugar. Okay, and then use 1/4 cup less of another liquid. So you need a little more of this to equal regular sugar. Well, awesome. I think that's kind of cool. And again, it has a jar, so I was like, I'll give it a try. And so I got that as well. So I got a couple of other good items just for volunteering my time at the food bank. Plus, I went through some produce. So let me show you what produce I got. When you're volunteering for produce, you're going through things that are the store considers bad or out of date. So they give it to you, and you could have a couple of things that are bad in the package, but the rest of the fruit or veggies is still good. So the produce sorter is the person who goes through and picks out any of the moldy stuff and decides what's good and what's not good. And these are things that do not qualify to be good to go out to the customers, but me going through them, I'm like, man, those are still good. I can still do stuff with them. And they don't mind if the produce sorter takes home produce that normally would have gone in the goat bin to feed the goats. So this wouldn't necessarily have gone in the trash, but it would have gone to animals, and I can still use this to help feed my family and cut down my budget. So that's what I'm doing, and this is the extra food that I got just by volunteering today. So they had this bag of carrots. It was donated just like this. A bag of carrots, and then they had some salad kits that were bad, but the packets inside were still good. And this is apple, and this is a balsamic shallot, white shallot vinaigrette. So I thought these were so good, little bits of apples and stuff, so I grabbed those. And then we have lots of peppers from Costco. So see these ones that are like brown and stuff, they wouldn't put this out for a customer to pick, but I'm like, there's still a lot of good pepper, you know, that I can use. So they didn't mind that I took it. Here's another one. The yellow ones seem to go bad in those packs the most. And then quite a bit of yellow squash that they didn't want because it has the brown spots on the end, but I still think they're perfectly well, so I went ahead and grabbed those. That was before I saw the giant zucchini out there that I grabbed. And here's a couple more of just the peppers to give you an example of the ones that are bad that they wouldn't put out. Oh, I already showed you those. Well, here's some other ones. So I got pretty much a whole bag of peppers. I'm gonna dice these up and throw them in my freeze dryer. And then a bunch of cilantro. I think it's cilantro. Yeah, that's cilantro. So that'll be nice. Also great for the freeze dryer is cilantro. They had a little thing of mushrooms here that are a little too beat up and broken to put out. So I grabbed those because we love mushrooms. And then half a head of cabbage. It looks like, I don't know, someone didn't have enough money or got put back. I don't know, but there's half a head of cabbage here that they didn't want to put out because it's open just like this. So I went ahead and grabbed that as well because I don't have enough cabbage in my life, but it's a perfectly good cabbage. I couldn't see it thrown out, you know. And then a big bag of Brussels sprouts. They had a lot of these, and these look a little, they were a little too gooey for the checker, so I went ahead and grabbed these. I have a friend who has Brussels sprouts in her fridge because she does not know how to blanch and freeze them. So you know what? I'm going to blanch and freeze these for you guys to teach you guys how to save Brussels sprouts and put them in your freezer. So that's what I'm going to do with these guys. I thought of her when I saw them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have got to get that for her. This was assigned to me. And then they also had a thing of Brussels sprouts here, that same thing that is in a bag, so they didn't want to put it out. Here's kind of wilted green onions. I figured I could dice these up and throw them in the freeze dryer as with all the other herbs that I got, because these are a little too wilty to put out. And then a pineapple that's pretty, it's got a, oh yeah, right there. It's got a spot right there that was pushy. So I was like, you know what, I might be able to save some. Again, this was before I saw the other pineapple, but it's not good enough to put out for Gust, but I might be able to save it. So I grabbed a pineapple. And then they had lots of bananas, and these ones are a little bruised here, and we're out of bananas to eat, so I grabbed some bananas. Again, they had an open thing of cabbage, so I grabbed it, again, because I don't have enough cabbage in my life. And then they had a cantaloupe. This had a partner, and the partner was crushed. This one was not, so I took it because my kids love cantaloupe, and they'll eat all this in one sitting. And then I brought a bunch from the chickens, so the chickens got a big bag of produce as well. So it was quite a day, and I wasn't even expecting to go to the food bank today, so I got my work cut out for me. I am just absolutely amazed at our food bank though, and I just want to take a moment again to express my gratitude for it and how much it really has changed my life. And I really hope that there's other people out there who consider going as well, because there's no need for us to be struggling so hard or to feed our kids 3 meals of tomato soup a day to prove that we don't need any help. You know, there's nothing wrong in needing help. The world is really hard right now. So many people need help, and this is food that would have gone in the dump. Like, if this was not donated to a food bank, it would have gone in the dump. So please go to your local food bank. It could really help your family. All right, guys, I'm gonna get some of this food put up, and then we'll get this pork foot in the crock pot, and we'll figure out what kind of marinade I'm gonna put in there with it. Guys, I forgot to tell you about our sweet treat because the kids would not let me hang on to it until I was ready to film. They're like, Mama, we want it now. So I went ahead and set up the camera and got them doing their sweet treat. Kind of confused? Let me show you what I'm talking about. For the dessert, it was this cookie making kit. So it came with 12 sugar cookies, a blue bag of icing, green and red. And all you do is cut off the tip of the piping bags, and then the kids get to decorate them themselves. It also had this little ramekin of sprinkles. I thought that was super fun, and I know it was a little risky putting them on the floor. I did put a blanket down, but they had a lot of fun being able to decorate their own cookies and then put the sprinkles on there. They went a little crazy with them, but this was a really fun one. I don't think I've seen ones like this before. So that was fun that they decorated them and then got to eat them. And no, they didn't eat out of the icing bag, but they did make me one. And I gotta tell you, it was pretty good. That color for icing though. Perfect for kids. So this was a fun little kit. I'm glad that we got this. Hey everybody, so I got the tomatoes cut up and in here, one of the shallots, and a couple of the bell peppers. So here's, I'll just give it a stir so you can see all the different tomatoes in there. They're just so gorgeous. This is gonna be a very flavorful sauce. Now I'm gonna add some garlic. This is garlic that's in olive oil that I cooked. I'm gonna add a good chunk in there. So we have onions, tomatoes, or we have shallots, tomatoes, garlic, and peppers in here. I think this is gonna be a very tasty sauce. Let's put our lid on it. Pressure cook this for 10 minutes. And then we'll let it natural release. And that's all you gotta do to make homemade tomato sauce in your Instant Pot. I'm going to be working on the pork foot now. So what my plan is, I'm going to peel an onion and then slice it into rings, and I'm going to use that to put on the bottom of the crock pot, kind of like a barrier to keep the pork from being directly against the heat of the crock pot. So I'm going to do some of the onion, and then I'm also going to do some of those bell peppers that were just kind of soft and needed to get used up. I think they're going to add a good flavor and a good color to the broth, so I decided to slice up an orange one and a red one and get those on the bottom. And now I'm going to put my foot in there, and I am going to use some of the apple cider vinegar, a splash of it in there, probably about a tablespoon or two. That's going to help break down the bones. And then a splash of soy sauce. I just think that kind of sounded good. And we are going to put this on low overnight. So I ended up cooking it for 10 hours. And now that that is going, I'm going to be working on the herbs just to get them sliced up, put them in my freeze dryer. I had 2 things of white onions already frozen, so I needed 1 more tray. So I was like, you know what? I think the cilantro and the green onions are going to go great with the white onions in the freeze dryer. So that's what I ended up doing. So I just sliced up and used what I could on the green onions. And I got to say, those turned out absolutely beautiful. I like that they hold the same shape and color. It's really amazing whenever they are done. And now it's going into the freeze dryer. I'm going to add some freeze dried basil. And some oregano. Now this is stuff that I got a couple of food bank hauls ago, and now I get to use it today in this food bank because I preserved it. I have a little bit of parsley left, so I'm going to throw that in there too.
I'm telling you something.
Yes. All right. And now I'm going to reduce it for a little bit just to kind of thicken it up. And then our sauce will be ready to go. Well, we'll see if it needs any. It probably needs some salt. But I'm going to turn this on saute, and then we'll let her boil. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and prep these Brussels sprouts. I have some water boiling, and all I'm going to do is trim off some of that root there.
Mama, can I have this one?
And I'm gonna cut in half. Yes.
And why is it there?
Because it was in the sink. Alright, here are those 2 bags of Brussels sprouts all cut up, ready to go. And this is how much waste that I have. Now I'm just going to go give this to the chickens, or you could put it in a compost pile, or you could just throw it away if you don't have either of that for an option. Now I'm going to take this over and we're going to put it in salted boiling water for 3 minutes. Alright, so I just have some boiling water. I have iodized salt here. I'm gonna salt my water liberally. Don't be shy with the salt. That's the way you flavor the inside of the Brussels sprouts. Let's crank this up to get it boiling a little more. I'm gonna use my ladle to scoop them into the water so I don't splash myself. I don't know, I think I might do all of them. And I'm gonna leave this kind of on here to help push it down. You see they're already getting green. I'm gonna set the timer for 3 minutes. This is called blanching. This is the step where we blanch them. We're gonna put them in hot water and let them be in here for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna put them in ice water. So I'm gonna go fill this up with some ice water. All right, I'm gonna just keep kind of poking them, pushing them down, make sure they're in all that water. I can already see some leaves that I'll pick off once they get into the shocking process. The shocking is where we're going to dump it into ice water. So this is called blanching and shocking. This is what you have to do to a lot of your vegetables before you freeze them or even dehydrate them. So this is a good method to know to help preserve food for like the freezer. You want to blanch and shock a lot of vegetables. This is including broccoli, peas, corn, lots of different vegetables. What vegetables do you guys know that you have to blanch and shock? All right, so I'll bring you back when the timer goes off. All right, our 3 minutes are up, so I'm gonna turn this off. I'm going to instantly take them out of the hot water and put them in my ice water. This stops the cooking process and keeps them from getting overcooked and mushy. And some of the leaves will fall off, that's okay, especially since I cut it. There we go, so they're all completely submerged. It's getting cooled off, that water's still cool, and then we'll let that sit for a couple minutes. All right guys, I drained off my Brussels sprouts, and from here I'm just gonna put them on a sheet tray. If you see any bad spots, pick that off. Oh, there looks pretty bad. By freezing them on a sheet tray separately, you let them get frozen individually, and then you'll put them in a container, and that is what is going to keep your container from everything getting frozen all together. So we'll do this, and then we'll portion it into the sides. Probably get 4 sides out of this. Some of these still got rotten in there. And that's why I like to cut them, so I can see the inside, you know. See, these were in the expired ones, so you expect to find some that aren't, you know, perfect quality. All right, so this is going to the freezer. All right, now that the Brussels sprouts are frozen, let's look at this pork. So there's the foot, like here's the part of the bottom of the foot there. It's just bones now. So I'm gonna have a separate bowl for any bone. And then there's this big chunk of skin. This is what's used to make pork rinds. So we can save this and fry it up or use it for our broth, which I'm probably gonna do. So skin in there, any kind of bones in there. It's pretty fatty, so we'll put that in there. I mean, it's just like any other type of meat, guys. Any part of, you know, bone and meat. And it's tender, falling apart. This bone just came right off. Look at all that collagen and stuff. That's what's good for broth. And you know, some people can't do this. Some people know that it's a foot and just like, nope, not gonna do it, you know? But I don't know. To me, I mean, that just looks like meat. It smells good. You want to utilize all the animal if you can. And if you're gonna buy something that's a cheaper cut that most people aren't gonna buy, why not? Save yourself some money. Just, you know, you got to get over the ick factor, I guess. Maybe, I was talking to my friend, I was like, maybe I have a higher gross factor than some, because even husband's like, nope, not gonna do this. And I'm like, I'll get it, you know? So, maybe that's just me. Working in the kitchen might have done that to me. But this just looks like shredded pork, right? Look how clean that bone is. Alright, look at that. That looks like great meat. And that worked great, just putting it in the crock pot with some soy sauce and apple cider vinegar. I turned it off at 3 o'clock this morning, so I let it go from 5:30 to 3:30, so 10 hours. Now this is the actual foot part here. I'm not gonna get anything out of there. I'm just gonna put that straight into the stock one. I'm not gonna try and fish out any meat from that. The bones are just clean, guys. Like, crock pot cooking's pretty great. If you have a tough meat, just put it in the crock pot. All right, I'm gonna strain the rest of this. I'm gonna put these back in crock pot. And look at that beautiful broth. That's what I'm talking about. And then we have this pork here. So I'm gonna move this pork to the bowl that I had the bones and stuff in. So I mean, that's probably about 2 cups worth of meat. Let's taste it. Wow, that's good. Oh my gosh, that's good. That tastes great, guys. Yep. I'm gonna slap some barbecue sauce on it, and I'm gonna turn this into quesadillas for the kids for lunch. And there's just simple stuff I put in there: onion, peppers, and what else did I put in there? Onions, peppers, soy sauce, and apple cider vinegar. That's all I did. All the flavors from the fire. Oh, that's good, guys. Wow, delicious. All right. Now, let's make some quesadillas for the kids. I love quesadillas. I feel like they're one of my go-to lunches I have. So I just put some shredded cheddar cheese. Mild cheddar is what I have. And then I'm going to put the barbecue pork there. You could also squirt extra barbecue sauce in the quesadilla or use it dipping if you'd like. And then I press it down, let it sit on one side for about a minute. Give it a flip, let it sit for another minute or so. You just want to have it cook until the cheese is melty, but you don't want to have it super dark. And then we're going to get over here, we're going to cut it, and just like that, we have a gooey, cheesy barbecue pork quesadilla. Now, for the broth, I'm going to be adding water to the bones and the fat. I'm just going to be adding enough till it goes all the way to the top, and then I'm going to add a few extra seasonings like a couple of bay leaves. Then I'm going to add a handful of peppercorns. I like to use whole rainbow peppercorns. That's what I have on hand. And then I have a freezer bag full of scraps that has like onion peels, garlic peels, things like that. So I'm going to be adding a handful of that to it, as well as a couple of garlic that I have. I'm going to be setting this on low, and I'm going to cook this for 2 days. Now that the Brussels sprouts are all frozen, they break up pretty easily. Okay, so I ended up with 3 portion size bags out of that whole tray. So I'm going to lift this up. Now whenever you're using your vacuum sealer, the opening, you want to be in this opening here because that's what sucks all the air out. So make sure if it's kind of folding the other way, then maybe fold it over. I like to straighten it out. It takes a little working. You don't want any wrinkles. So you gotta kind of baby it. There we go. Vacuum sealed Brussels sprouts. Alright, so we got 3 packages of Brussels sprouts. So I'm just gonna write sprouts, and then the month and the year, and then that's going in my freezer. So it's been a couple of days since I started that broth, 4 days to be exact, and I got hit with a round of sickness and I forgot about it overnight and it burnt. So unfortunately I did lose my broth. I do still have the broth that I strained, and that is super gelatinized, so that is really great. But unfortunately I let the broth go too long without adding water and it burnt, so that's kind of disappointing. But sometimes those things happen where things get away from you, or you get sick, or something happens and you have to throw a product away. Now, as much as that hurts, just know that it happens to everybody, and it's okay if it happens to you every once in a while. We did get the Brussels sprouts. I got my pasta sauce all done and finished. And then that pork meat was absolutely delicious. I'm really glad that I gave it a try. What are your thoughts about eating pig's feet? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming along and seeing what I got in my haul and how I utilized it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time on Mama Baird's.